Hey, Linda, do you know what would be a great Christmas present?
An updated Doctor Who sonic screwdriver?
Well, yeah, that would be good. But you know what else would be good?
Hey, are you talking about a year of Springsteen tickets?
Well, yes, that would be perfect. But really, what we're talking about is a new headset. And guess what? There is a great deal on headsets going on right now.
Go on.
Tweaked audio headphones make the perfect gift for not just someone who's a podcaster, but anyone who loves listening to music. You can go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off. Plus, you get free shipping and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Titans, go!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs, and with me, of course, is my fellow Titan Talker, everybody's favorite fellow Titan Talker, Jesse Jackson. Hi, Jesse. How are you today?
Hello, Charles. Are you ready to do a little Titan talk?
Yes, I am. That's kind of like the premise of the show, right?
Yes, it is.
Funny
Though,
enough.
if we were the TV series, we would keep doing pilots for other podcasts in the middle of this podcast.
Well, hey, DC Universe, they've got they're trying to get their network on the ground, off the ground. So, what better way to tease an upcoming series on DC Universe than actually featuring those characters in your first show on the network? So, we're going to talk about Doom Patrol today here in episode 11.
Absolutely.
And this is the fourth episode of Titans, released on Friday, November 2nd, 2018. We're almost at the end of 2018 already, if you can believe it.
Yes.
Written by Jeff Johns, who you may know from DC Comics fame.
Yes.
And also wrote the Doom Patrol during his run on Teen Titans, Teen Titans Volume 3, directed by John Fawcett. And this is obviously a pretty significant episode because of introducing some key characters. And with Doom Patrol being a Titan spinoff, it actually relates to the show. So it matters. And so I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts on it, Jesse.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Jeff Johns. He has done some great writing involved with Young Justice. Wrote some of my favorite character episodes of Smallville, including Legion, which I wish that
was a great episode.
Yeah, I like that version of Legion a little bit better than the Supergirl version of the Legion.
Right.
But
that's not hard, by the way.
I know you don't like Supergirl as much as I do.
No, I enjoy Supergirl quite a bit. I just don't like this take on the Legion particularly.
Yeah. And so I was really excited to see his episode, and I liked it. And if I look at it independently, just as an episode, I like it a whole lot. When I look at it as an episode of a story that we're telling, I'm a little unhappy. What was your thoughts on the episode?
Well, I saw it as more of like a pit stop on the way to our story. Like, and if nothing else, it was great because we finally got our introduction to Garfield Gar Logan, aka Beast Boy, And what better way to introduce him than kind of spinning him out of the Doom Patrol, because he does have those Doom Patrol connections in the comics.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, and I'm not totally grumpy, Jesse,
Yeah.
but I feel like we're in the car trip, and within an hour of us starting, I've had to say, "Can I stop for a bathroom break?" And you're like, "Already?
Right.
That's my problem with the pit stop.
That's what happens when you get that big gulp at 7-Eleven along the way.
Absolutely.
You got to take a pit stop every so often.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So we do have some cast that I want to talk about before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this cast is not going to be in the Doom Patrol's TV series, so I want to just address that really quickly. But
yes,
we have Bruno Bichir as the Chief, and he's played by an actor named Fernando Duque. Or I'm sorry, Bruno played Fernando Duque on the Netflix series Narcos. If you ever watched that show. I have not, so I can't say to his performance.
No.
But that's probably where you might have seen him before. Jake Michaels plays Robotman, but in this, because of the Doom Patrol upcoming ongoing series, his voice was redubbed by Brendan Fraser, who obviously a much more notable star, and as the voice of Robotman. He played, of course, Rick O'Connell in the Mummy movie trilogy that you may be aware of.
Yes.
He became quite the star back around the 2000s. And he was in movies like George of the Jungle, Dudley Do-Right, Encino Man. So you've seen him before. Monkey Bone.
Yes, absolutely.
So he's been in a lot of things. And it's good to kind of see him making a bit of a comeback here.
Yes.
April Bowlby, who's really the only returning actor that's going to be on the ongoing Doom Patrol series. She plays Rita Farr, a.k.a. Elasti-Girl, a.k.a. Elasti-Woman, as she's known today.
Mm-hmm.
And you may know her from I guess, Charlie Sheen's girlfriend Candy on 2.5 Men. That's primarily where she's known. And she also played a character named Stacey Barrett on the show Drop Dead Diva.
Not familiar with either one of those.
Right, but I thought she did a really good job as Rita Farr in this.
Yes, I liked her a lot.
Yeah, and then Dwain Murphy, who plays Negative Man, he's basically been recast as well for the ongoing series. But here, his voice is replaced by Matt Bomer, who's going to be doing the voice of Negative Man on the ongoing series. Matt Bomer, of course, played a character named Neil Caffrey on White Collar, the USA show. And I know him primarily from American Horror Story, FX's series. Mm-hmm. He's done a couple of characters there. He was really good on that. And he's been on things like Chuck and what have you. So they definitely kind of upped the star quotient for the ongoing series. And it's kind of nice that they're already kind of incorporating the voices for Robotman and Negative Man in this episode.
Yeah. Now, Charles.
Yes.
What is are you a big Doom Patrol fan? Were you a fan of the comic? Because I am a huge Doom Patrol fan, so I'm perfectly willing to do the heavy lifting on this one. Okay.
Doom Patrol, once they announced that the Doom Patrol was going to be in Titans, I was so excited. And then once we got word that the Doom Patrol was going to get their own series, I was just ecstatic.
Okay.
I love the characters. I've always been a fan. I got into them because of the New Teen Titans in their kind of the 3-part storyline that was in the New Teen Titans Volume 1, number 13 through 15, mm-hmm. where the Titans go into the jungle in Zandia and they find Robotman, who's kind of hung up like a scarecrow in the jungle, and they battle the Doom Patrol villains, General Zal and Madame Rouge.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like my introduction to the Doom Patrol. And then DC came out with like this digest, you remember when they were doing the digest comics back in the 80s?
Sure.
And they had a Doom Patrol digest, and I got that because it had this cool George Perez cover.
Okay.
And So I devoured that and got to learn a lot more about the Doom Patrol. And then ever since, I've been kind of a fan of theirs. And then they had the series that came out that started around late, I want to say 87, 88, with art by Steve Lytle from the Legion.
Okay.
Which about in issue 19 became huge because Grant Morrison took over the comic and completely reinvigorated the series, took a completely fresh approach in the storyline called Crawling from the Wreckage. And it's that era with Grant Morrison writing and Richard Case drawing that kind of became the definitive Doom Patrol series.
Yeah, I noticed, and I haven't read either one of them.
Yeah.
But I did notice the cover. I mean, I saw when I was looking at it, the kind of triangle sunglasses on the Negative Man looks very similar to what they're showing on the TV series.
Yeah. There's a character named Rebus in Grant Morrison's run who is essentially like a version of Negative Man that ends up merging with a female doctor and becomes this kind of hermaphroditic character, like a evolution of Negative Man throughout that run. And so, they're kind of borrowing those kind of like pointed triangle shaped lenses for Negative Man here. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it is a good image. I like the idea. Like I said, if I don't, and we'll get to specifics, but if I don't focus on that we're trying to get through the story of the Titans,
right?
I would have liked this a little bit more, because the actual episode itself I really liked a lot.
Yeah. So essentially the Doom Patrol, to boil it down to their basic premise, is that the Doom Patrol are the DC Universe's world's strangest heroes.
Yes.
They're the weird characters. They have weird enemies, as we'll see on the ongoing series. And as we got to get a little taste of in this episode, they essentially consider themselves freaks and misfits and essentially kind of like the Addams Family of the DC Universe.
And a little bit, just a few months.
They're creepy and they're kooky and they're altogether ooky.
Just a few months before the first X-Men book came out.
Yeah, there's been some debate about whether Doom Patrol ripped off the X-Men back in the 60s or X-Men ripped off the Doom Patrol.
Yes.
My current stance on it is that the Doom Patrol just squeaked by first, and then somehow Stan Lee got wind of it and kind of took that to develop the X-Men. But again, that's open to debate. So if you feel otherwise, I respect that opinion.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that is important,
because you had a guy in a wheelchair and you had
and
like a bunch of like odd characters that he was leading, and
exactly,
and et cetera. So today I want to talk about 3 topics. I want to talk about Gar and Raven first, and then I want to talk about the Doom Patrol themselves, and then I want to talk about Dick and Corey last.
Okay.
So I think that's a good way to break up this episode.
Absolutely.
So why don't we talk about our first topic, Tarzan Boy. And I'm not going to do that yell, but it's kind of like a whoa, 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 whoa. And that's by a band called Baltimora from the 80s, a kind of one-hit wonder band from the 80s.
Absolutely.
Whose song I actually had on my iPod before this episode aired. So
how funny.
I've always been a fan of this band, this song particularly. You may have seen it from like a long while back in Listerine commercials maybe.
Yes.
Where you had a kind of CGI bottle swing through the jungle or whatever.
Absolutely.
So that's probably where you might remember that song. But so this is going to be Gar and Raven I want to talk about. So we get a big introduction to Ryan Potter as Beast Boy. Finally, as we've had a couple teases, but here's the full deal. And he picks right up where he left off with his connection with Rachel. And I want to get your thoughts on these two characters and Beast Boy in particular. What did you think, Jesse?
So I was very unhappy with the initial showing him in the, breaking into Best Buy or whatever,
right.
and as a tiger.
Yeah.
But the second appearance at this skating rink, I liked a lot, and I liked Gar even more in this. Very likable, very much, looking for a new friend, looking for someone closer to his own age. And
someone to connect with, yeah.
And I also think there's a sense of two similar souls. He gets the feeling that she is struggling and has her own inner demons, much like everyone else there in his extended family. And, so he feels a kinship to her, and that's why when he finds her in the woods and, hey, come on, let me take you home. I just like the idea that, he's bringing home a stray puppy. He's showing her his great, room in the basement. It just was really nice to see them interacting in almost a sweet friendship, the beginning of a friendship. What did you think?
Yeah, and possibly more the vibe I get from it.
Yes, absolutely.
A little bit. But if nothing else, that maybe like Beast Boy crushes on Raven.
Yes.
And it's not quite there yet. They're still, they've just really got to know one another
absolutely.
Here. So it's very early days. But I think Beast Boy, Ryan Potter's Beast Boy, really brings a lot of upbeat optimism to the show.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's got, up till now, these first 3 episodes before this, everybody was just so bogged down in their drama and, everything's so serious.
Yes.
And Beast Boy comes along and is like, hey, let's hang out. Let's, you want some pop? I got everything. You want to play some video games? Let's do that,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I loved is that they showed Beast Boy's connection to the Doom Patrol, and we'll get into the Doom Patrol obviously a little bit more, but I love the family relationship that he has with the Doom Patrol.
Absolutely.
And that's something obviously we've wanted to see in Titans, from the Titans group, and I just love that. I thought that was great, and maybe it'll be an inspiration to the Titans themselves about how to get along with each other, hopefully.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I thought the sense of family, I thought it was very cool. There was a little bit of the Johnny Storm thing, interaction between Beast Boy and Cliff, which I thought was very cool.
It's very reminiscent of the Human Torch and the Thing, the way they kind of like will rag on each other, but they actually care about each other underneath all the brother type picking on each other.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was good. Because that was a really great exchange between Gar and Cliff, and I really like that scene. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and with Raven, she's kind of experiencing this because all that she's known is just, like she's still reeling from the death of the woman that she believed was her mother, Melissa.
Yes.
And here comes Beast Boy along, and he's just the guy you want to hang out with.
Yes.
And she responds very well to it. She assimilates right into the Doom Patrol. That scene at the dinner table where I love that exchange between Raven and Robotman, where she's eating fried chicken or something, and Robotman is like, oh, how does that taste? I remember fried chicken.
Yeah.
And
the waffle, he goes, is it crunchy on the outside and gooey in the inside with just the right amount of butter? And she's like, yeah, it's really good. He's like, yeah.
And then when he talks about how Robotman brings up the fact that he can't dance, Raven is just like, why not? Why don't you dance? I'll dance with you.
Yeah, and then she does the robot.
She does the robot, and that's one of the things that I thought was really great because it got to show off Raven as a more likable character.
Yeah,
and and she does that, and he kind of looks at her and goes, "She can stay."
Yeah, I thought that was
like
a wonderful moment.
Yeah, that was the moment that Raven won over Robotman. I thought that was great.
I agree.
Yeah, so ultimately Raven ends up getting manipulated by the chief, who is a very manipulative character.
Boy, I do not like the chief. I know we're going to get to him, but ooh, well, the spoiler alert.
Chief, the modern take ever since Morrison has been that he's been a very manipulative character, and that he kind of is controlling in a lot of ways. And so Raven ends up getting pulled in to his manipulations because the chief just wants to study her. He finds her fascinating, like a research project. And so essentially he straps her down to this table, and Gar, for the first time, I believe, at least that's the impression that we get, stands up to the chief because he's like, look, this is wrong. I'm looking out for my new friend here. And I thought that was good to kind of show him standing up to the chief after we had seen the chief try to manipulate Beast Boy earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
Talking about how just, that he's very disappointed in him and all those kind of like verbally abusive things that someone who tries to mentally abuse and control someone uses.
Yeah, I really, really did not like that. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Right.
I also
but I like the fact that Beast Boy stood up to that. That's
yes,
the thing.
He
That's my
very
point
much stuck up to her and was. I mean,
he showed he was loyal to Raven right off the bat.
He was very proud of the. He was protective of his friend, and he wanted the chief to help her. And to make him part of, she could be part of the family. And then when he saw her being manipulated, he didn't like that at all.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. And then ultimately we get at the end of the episode, the Beast Boy is wanting to stay with the Doom Patrol, but the Doom Patrol is like, look, you're going to have a much better life with them than us. So go. And I thought that was a really touching farewell scene. What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was very touching. All of them kind of staring at her. And
they're not bitter or resentful that he's leaving. They want the best for him.
In fact, they're really like, we'll handle the chief. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You go have a good life. Right. And because except for the hair, he is much easier to
assimilate.
Yes, exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about Gar and Rachel before we move on?
No, we're going to go back to Rachel with her and Dick's discussions.
Yes, right.
But no, on this just together, you're right. There is that chemistry between them, and I really, it took a long time to get him part of it, but now that he's there, the band is slowly getting together. Yep.
And so let's move on to our second topic then. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. And that's a popular song used in a lot of westerns, but also this version was on this episode was done by Frank Sinatra, which I thought was really interesting. And I have a lot of Frank Sinatra songs. I didn't have that one in my library, so I'm going to have to track that down.
Okay.
It's kind of weird because like I have 3 greatest hits CDs of Frank Sinatra, songs, and like they each have like 20 songs on them. None of them have "We'll Meet Again," and so I'm kind of like, I was surprised. But I really dug that version, and that, of course, is a nice little tease because that one, I get the feeling the Titans are going to encounter the Doom Patrol again.
Absolutely.
Probably around the season finale, I'm guessing, because of maybe helping to set up the Doom Patrol series more. But also that it just, because of that, we're going to see the Doom Patrol again in their own series. So it works kind of on two levels there a little bit. All right. So I want to talk about the Doom Patrol here. So obviously I want to talk about Robotman. I want to talk about Elasti-Girl, and Negative Man, and even the Chief. So I want to get your thoughts on the Doom Patrol, especially since you weren't a fan of the team from the comics. So did you like the Doom Patrol?
I did. I certainly was aware of the Doom Patrol, and I partly because of Gar's relationship on the original, the new Teen Titans that you and I, in our heyday of Titan Talk. So
back in the olden times when we read the Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Yes.
But I can't remember reading a lot of the comics. Just, it would be one of those when you'd buy the 80-page giants that would have one new story, and then reprints, there would be one in there or not. So I certainly can remember a little bit.
You're like a passing familiarity.
Yes. Okay. And so
now did you get more appreciation for the characters from this episode?
I did.
Are you, at least, does it make you more interested to see a Doom Patrol series, I guess is my question.
Yes, it makes me want to see a Doom Patrol series a great deal, except I don't like the Chief at all.
Right.
It's almost...
But every show has got to have their one a-hole character. And that's to stir things. Yeah, they do. Conflict. We need conflict.
Does every series need a Dr. Smith?
Yeah, to stir things up. Yeah, look how good the new Lost in Space series is because of Parker Posey's Dr. Smith. So yeah,
I just but he's your leader. Your leader should not be this kind of.
But it's kind of like that's what makes and this is just me talking because I'm a
I understand.
So I apologize if I'm coming at it from a biased point of view. But the way I see it is that the Doom Patrol, it helps show how good the Doom Patrol members are because of that contrast to the Chief. Yeah. Like the Chief wants them, he's just very cold and clinical and analytical, and he's driven by his curiosity more than actual human compassion. He's very emotionally detached. And the Doom Patrol, despite the Chief. Yeah. And it's with especially characters like Robotman, who is essentially the heart of the team, to show that the way the Chief acts is wrong. Mm-hmm. And it points out, that these characters are able to overcome the kind of adversity that they get from the Chief a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of like they're kind of trapped in an abuse cycle here, and especially since Morrison's run, he kind of exemplified this, that the Chief being so manipulative plays up on the fact that the Doom Patrol owes him for their lives.
Yeah,
and takes advantage of that sense of guilt and responsibility. Like at the end of this episode, where they feel like, well, we're going to stay here and take care of the Chief.
Yeah.
But because, he helped us, they still have this obligation. So there's always that kind of conflict that's created here, because you've got the Chief wanting to take advantage of this, and the Doom Patrol members kind of saying, okay, well, we respect you for what you did, that you saved our lives and gave us a purpose, but we're not going to let you control us like you want to control us.
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see how it comes out.
It's a very unusual dynamic.
Since you've read the series, you kind of have a little bit a better feel of it. Just my initial feeling is I don't like this guy, and I really he is the villain in the piece. That's a fair statement, and especially in Morrison's run, because ultimately, toward the end of Morrison's run, the Chief essentially kind of goes off the deep end and does become a bit of a villain. Okay.
And so, what you're seeing here, and I don't know if this is the route they're going to go on the Doom Patrol series or not, but if they do, it's going to be really interesting. Is that the Chief will be this guy that they trusted because he helped save their lives.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it could be revealed. I won't say it will be, but it could be revealed that the Chief is just more deranged than they realize, and eventually he will become a threat.
Yeah, and so that'll be interesting. What I did like a lot is the timelessness of the team.
Yes.
Rita comes across as like a 40s movie star. There's watching movies that are in black and white. And
she has this, she's a character that was essentially created like in the early 60s.
Yeah.
And so she always had that retro feel because she's a classic character. But one of the things Jeff Johns did was that he showed that he kind of made her timeless and kind of kept her in that kind of retro world, but existing in today's society.
Yeah, and you wonder, at least I did, not knowing very much, is there... How old are they? Because of her being able to control her body.
Yeah.
Would that, and the Negative Man and Robotman, they could be much older than they seem.
Right.
Because of, the timeliness in it.
I think they made a very passing reference to Negative Man being like a World War II pilot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a change from the comics, but because he was like a test pilot, kind of like Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
In the comics, but that these characters could be, because of their powers, have been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, and having Frank Sinatra sing gives you that sense of timelessness. Right. And retro feel. So that was a good thing. It appears to be a little more... It could be a more complex series that we are going to see. Not that the Titans is all sunshine and bubblegum, but it does give you the feeling that this could be a little more dark, a little more
but just
complex.
Out there.
Yes, out there, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
It's essentially, I would personally, the way I would approach the series is essentially to kind of make Doom Patrol like the Twin Peaks of the DC universe.
Yes.
Where you see weird characters, there's weird things going on, but there's this darkness and, these kind of otherworldly threats. And I would love to, I have great hopes for this ongoing series, the spin-off series. So we'll see what happens. But, I know that there's going to bring in Mr. Nobody, which is this character from Morrison's run. This bad guy from Morrison's run is the Doom Patrol's main big bad in their first season.
Okay.
Who becomes like the leader of this group called the Brotherhood of Dada, which was a kind of a spin-off from the Doom Patrol's arch enemies, the Brotherhood of Evil.
Okay.
So, so Robotman. Let's talk about Robotman for a minute.
Okay.
What did you think of Brendan Fraser's version of Cliff Steele in this episode?
So I did not recognize the voice, even though, after the fact, I remember, they were going to tell us this.
Did you think he did a good job?
I think whatever it is the voice or the character moving inside the suit.
Right.
Yes, I thought it really came across well. Not totally, certainly tragic, but not. How do I want to put this? It is a bad thing that he is in a metal body,
right.
But they don't play it as a tragedy all the time.
Right.
And so I was glad to see that. I'm at times, it can play too much, like, oh, poor me, I'm stuck in a body. That can get very old if you aren't careful with it. And so I thought they played the right end of this. He was, kind of funny. I love the scene where he catches her in the closet. Got you.
Yes. Like he didn't fall for Beast Boy's trick.
Yeah. And you also talked about already the food, but that was very neat. And I also love the amount of food that they cook, and then you see why.
Right.
Is that because they are going to, Rita eats a lot, and I love that line. Yeah, we have enough food, even with Rita eating with us.
Right.
Was really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, when we're on the subject of Rita.
Yes.
This version that they showed here in this episode is essentially Jeff Johns' version.
Okay.
That he created back in Teen Titans. His take. He came up with this concept of that Rita has problems holding her form together.
Okay.
And because primarily, ever since the 60s, her powers were that she could grow really, really big or really, really small or elongate some of her extremities.
And that's what I remembered too.
Right.
On my just thing. Yeah.
Now we don't get to see any of the Doom Patrol really using their powers here.
No.
And so that kind of disappointed me a little bit. But I get that they're probably saving it for the actual series.
Yes.
To kind of wow everybody. We didn't get to see what Negative Man looks like, his negative energy being. We didn't get to see Rita changing size or shape.
Right.
Really, apart from her losing cohesion.
Yes.
And so Johns obviously decided, well, with Rita, I'm going to keep that up. We got to see her, she's almost like this amoeba-like mass. Mm-hmm. When she's up in her bedroom and she talks about oh, I'm so sorry, I was late. It took me forever to put on, to get myself together, kind of thing. Yeah. And which has obviously a double meaning.
Yes.
In her case. But I love April Bowlby as Rita. I thought that was perfect casting. She has this 50s TV show wholesomeness. Like something out of the Donna Reed show or Dick Van Dyke show or whatever, and this retro wholesomeness, but she obviously has this tragic side to her, and how it's cost her because she was a movie star, and that her perfect life was derailed because of this accident that turned her into Elasti-Girl.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really liked a lot is how Rachel interact with all of them. When
She related to all of them.
Yeah, Rita was losing, and she's like, no, you're fine. I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, she puts her hand on it to kind of comfort her, but then also gets to like a psychic flash of teasing stuff for the show.
Yeah, and also we didn't talk about, but you called it about bringing things back to life. She did not see the deer come back to life.
Oh yeah, Raven's healing ability.
We did see that. It's strongly implied. We did not see the deer get up, but we see the wound close and the eyes come open.
Yeah, I was kind of glad about that because I was just like, well, that's good because they're going to obviously need her healing power on this show.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure Dove could have used it quite a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
But that wasn't the case, apparently. But it's good to know that she actually has that, even though I don't think she's really aware of it yet.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think it's just something that like happens, but she hasn't clicked in her head that she can do that yet.
Yeah.
She just feels like she can calm people down, like that the girl that we are introduced to that was doused in liquid nitrogen. Mm-hmm. And it kind of helps her stabilize.
Right.
So.
And I love the joy, remind me of the negative man's name. It's not Cliff. It's
Larry.
Yeah,
Larry
I love Larry cooking.
Yeah,
and the music going on and all the different.
Yeah, he's rocking out to like AC/DC's Thunderstruck.
Yeah,
and just chopping away. And we find out this is something brand new that Negative Man is like surprised. He's this big culinary master. Mm-hmm. And like he's making all this cool stuff, and like he brings up this one tray on the table, and he takes the cover off, and it's like this onion ring man.
Yes,
which I thought was kind of cool, and
yes.
that he's just this artiste when it comes to food, and it's just kind of funny that like he just comes up with all this artistic stylings, and ultimately it just gets devoured by Rita. Mm-hmm. And which I thought was funny. So
yes,
but it was very cool. And I thought that was a good way to kind of introduce him. He's kind of like this really, even though he's in bandages, he's this fun character. And I like the fact that when Raven was talking with Negative Man, she's like, "Are you invisible under those bandages?" Obviously comparing him to the Invisible Man, Claude Rains.
And I love that. Would that be cool?
Well, just like, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
I think it was more tragic that like I wish I was invisible than what I am under here. So I just thought that was great. I thought that was
I did too.
Good. And obviously, I would like to have seen more of Negative Man, but hopefully in the series. So
yeah, we'll see. I think it. And
or if in another Titans episode, we'll see.
Yeah, and it's. It was a good introduction to the team, and it kind of set the tone of what the feeling and we do. I mean, it served its purpose.
Right. It got you more interested in a Doom Patrol spinoff series, didn't it?
But it does feel like a pilot. And like I said, it was just a little too early in the series for me. But they had to get Gar. With the team, and this is how they just chose to do it.
Yeah, I think it kind of killed two birds with one stone.
Yes,
it was a way to, like you said, get Gar with the Titans, but also served as kind of like a backdoor pilot for the Doom Patrol series.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was good. All right. And just I happen to look through the Twitter feed reactions.
Yes.
About the Doom Patrol. Like I was doing a hashtag Doom Patrol search.
Yes.
A lot of people reacted better. They seem to think that they like the Doom Patrol better than the Titans on their own show. So hopefully Titans gets to that familial aspect at some point rather quickly. Because apparently, everybody seems really impressed with the Doom Patrol. And like the way they got along with each other. So maybe it'd be a great idea if the Titans kind of did that too. Just saying.
Yeah, but I think we're getting there. I mean,
Yeah. It's
one
a
of the
slow
things,
build.
Yeah, one of the things, and that's why, once again, they're not serving their core group by having the spinoff so early in there, because you want to see them working together. Now, we saw Corey and Dick work a little bit together, and they are.
Let's talk about the third topic, Dick and Corey. So this is I picked "I Wanna Be Loved by You," and that's the Marilyn Monroe version, which I thought was interesting. Again, more of a retro feel in this episode. And this is Dick and Corey, who they have this very David Maddie type relationship here. They're very antagonistic toward one another. So maybe this is belaying this underlying attraction between the two characters. But right now they're kind of like very prickly toward one another. And I want to get your thoughts on Dick and Corey in this episode.
Yeah, he called out her looks, which I was very happy to see.
Right.
I'm a cop.
You can't go in there to the police station. You look like a hooker, but he didn't say that.
No, but that's what. Yeah. So I was glad to see, because we had talked about, isn't she tired? Doesn't she want to change clothes just a little bit?
Yeah, you brought up a great point that she'd had every opportunity to change her clothes and she still hasn't.
Yeah. And yeah, I just liked the interaction back and forth. They seem to be, I think your moonlighting reference is perfect. They just seem to be getting along, enjoying each other's company, and so good stuff.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that I thought was kind of important in their burgeoning relationship with one another, Corey takes a moment while they're driving to call out Dick for, just leaving Raven, abandoning her, and Dick makes this comment that hey, I just didn't want her to be like me or go through the stuff of trusting someone only to, be burned by it. And then she kind of counters, so this is all about you then.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good point to bring up.
Yes, it was.
That he's talking about, well, it's just, I went through something as a kid, and she's like, so this isn't about her. It's more about you. And then she says you need to do something about this, because you're going to explode just like her if you don't figure out and deal with this problem. You've obviously got some problems you need to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So she basically calls him out about his behavior, especially after he beats the crap out of this Hunter guy right in front of his kid.
Yes.
And hopefully this kind of makes him take a step back and reevaluate his life.
Yeah, that was a disturbing scene.
It was. My wife Lori was not a fan of that scene, and I can't say that I was either.
I agree.
I get why they did it, but I didn't think it was necessary.
No, I didn't think at all either. I
thought it was a little gratuitous.
And I don't really understand why.
You're supposed to like this character, and you're not making him likable.
Why did he go so out of control? What was so crazy that he was doing?
Presumably there's a reason for this that we still haven't been told.
Yeah.
But it better be a damn good reason.
Yeah, because I just don't think it was a very, especially in front of the kid.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do that at all.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's just dude, what is wrong with you? Now, if it turns out that he's been affected by some villain or something, okay. Yeah. But there better be a good reason for
this,
I think because otherwise you're just making Robin an asshole.
And I think that's just it. I think they are trying to show that this version of Dick Grayson is just a jerk.
Right.
He's, the darkness of Batman, and, and that, we had talked about maybe the reason why he's reluctant to put on the suit is that muscle memory that makes him go to a dark place, but he wasn't in the Robin suit. And the guy was being a little bit of a jerk, but
it didn't
he didn't
deserve that kind of response.
Right. Like if he had known, he just suspected he may have hurt Rachel. He didn't know it for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
He's thinking, Dick Grayson is thinking emotionally. He's not thinking logically. And this is just very, again, uncharacteristic of Dick Grayson.
Yeah, I don't like, this is the first time, because I have not had the credit. I have not had the criticism. I've been pretty happy with, so far the choices they've made. But this one, I agree. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit with what we want to see in the character. And it also doesn't fit the character they're going to want to build.
So, and I think a lot of this is Jeff Johns' influence. Yeah. Because Johns, if you've read a lot of his comics, especially books like Infinite Crisis with Superboy Prime, he has this penchant for excessive violence.
Okay.
For whatever reason, excessively gratuitous violence. And for whatever reason, he's decided, I think, to apply it to Dick Grayson. And especially in this episode, because, hey, he wrote this episode. It can't really, it's kind of hard to not fault him for that, considering he wrote this. Now, to try to be a little more positive about Dick Grayson, there was one redeeming moment in this episode for Dick Grayson, I thought. And that's when he makes the point when Rachel's kind of out of control and her powers are being unleashed in the Chief's lab. She had just thrown the Chief against the wall, paralyzing him once again, which I think is interesting that he has this on and off paralysis.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be paralyzed as he is in the comics. That Dick Grayson goes to Raven. He talks her down and he hugs her. And he says he's sorry for leaving her. He apologizes. And he says he promises that he's not going to leave her again. So I thought that was a good moment and a good turning point for the character. Hopefully we'll see more of that.
I absolutely agree that, he owned up to, I was wrong. I'm not going to do this. You can count on me. And so I was really happy to see that.
It's like maybe he actually listened to what Corey told him.
Yeah. And the idea when they talk about, we want them to be a family, you hope this is one of the first steps. We have, the four main gals together, the four teammates. So hopefully we're going to see something good. But yes, I was very happy to see that. They did not stretch it out too long.
Right.
I was very happy with that. So that's good.
Yeah. And so at the end, obviously, we do see them together.
Yes.
And we'll see where it goes from here.
Absolutely.
So anything else about Dick and Corey before we move on?
Nope. I thought it was good to see them working together. And once again,
anything else about the episode, really, before we move on?
No. I as I said, it was a really nice kind of break. I just think it was too soon to have that break. But yes, good stuff.
Okay. Do you have any favorite lines of the episode this week?
Nope, I did not write down any. I had scenes like the kitchen scene and such, but no, I did not. How about you?
I've got some. I went through and I've gotten in the habit of having my computer up as I'm preparing for the show, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the DC universe and I'm gonna write down some notes.
Oh, good.
So, some lines. So that let's see. I liked the early exchange between Rachel and Gar, where they're kind of hiding out in this cabin, trying to stay warm, and they're building a fire or whatever. And Rachel says, "You don't understand. I'm changing. I can feel it, and it's getting worse." And Gar replies, "Well, no worse than the crew I live with. Trust me, we're special." And Rachel replies, "I'm not special. I'm dangerous."
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was an interesting quote. There was that great exchange between Beast Boy and Robotman that we talked about earlier, where Gar says, "No one followed me. I kept a low profile." And Robot replies, "If you want to keep a low profile, you wear a hat."
Yeah.
And then Beast Boy replies, "Ha, funny. You know, that's a good joke. I've heard another good joke. Why was the robot mad? Because someone kept pushing his buttons." And then Robot Man replies, "Ha, ha, ha. Keep pushing them. There'll be a green tiger skin rug in my bedroom."
Yes, that was a very funny back and forth. Yes.
Yeah. And again, it's very reminiscent of the Human Torch and the Thing. And yes. Robot Man is essentially like DC's version of the Thing. He's trapped in this, this creature-like shell, but he's got this heart of gold, and he's just this really nice person inside.
Yeah.
So he's like a nice person trapped in a monster's body.
Yeah, and I also really liked the old style robot. This isn't sleek. Right. It isn't cyborg. Clunk. This is very, very, once again, that retro feel.
Yeah.
Was good.
Yeah, that's one of the things during Grant Morrison's run where he kept kind of like Robotman complains to the chief of like, "Hey, can I get something a little sleeker? I'm kind of tired of like being in this clunky old tin can." So he's just kind of like complaining like, "Hey, can I have a better body and stuff?"
That's good.
There's another good exchange between Robotman and Beast Boy where Robotman goes, "You do realize this is supposed to be a secret, right? No, let me get this straight. You want the chief, who just learned to walk again, to walk into your dumbassery." and Beast Boy replies, "I thought maybe the chief could help her." And Robotman replies, "Ooh, you hate her that much?"
That was really well done. And
Robotman always gets the best lines.
Well, and also it re-stresses because the chief is that almost Two-Face, "Oh, I'm all here for you," but then can turn on a dime, which he did with Garfield. Right. So, yeah, I thought that was very good.
Yeah, and then lastly, I had that line we talked about earlier between Rachel and Negative Man, where Rachel goes, "Are you invisible under there?" And Negative Man replies, "Wouldn't that be nice?"
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was good. All right, what's your rating for this episode?
I'm of two minds. Like I said, if I just
go with your gut.
Yeah, I mean, just as the Doom Patrol part of it, I would give this a 9 or a 10. But because of where it's located, I'm going to give it 8. 8 tasty waffles out of 10.
Okay, that's fair.
How about you?
I was going to give this a 9, but because I was really enjoying the episode. But then when we didn't get to see the Doom Patrol actually get to do anything, I kind of dropped a half point for that. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8.5. Onion Ring Men.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just really cool to see.
Oh, that was just so good. I should have gone 8 things of gravy on top of everything.
Great gravy boats.
Yes, it was. Like I said, it was really a good idea to show them, set it up.
And I thought it was a good idea that have that dinner table scene because it made them get to talk. Like you have great conversations over a dinner table.
Yes.
And I thought that was a good way to get the team interacting with each other and get to know everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Through Raven being the kind of like point of view character.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right.
Good.
We do have one Tell It to Titan talk this time.
Oh, nice.
So we get the return of DJ Nick from Milan, Italy, who is really desperate to talk on Titan Talk.
Yes.
He's been tracking me down. He actually, I got to, we reached out on Skype. So I told him I would say, hey, he really wants to be on the show. So we're going to have to sit down and figure out when we can actually pull that off.
Yes.
At some point. So we can have him on the show because obviously it'd be fun to talk to him, I think.
Yeah. And I think if nothing else, we promise that if we can't figure it out, we'll do it toward the end, kind of a wrap up. But yes.
That maybe for a wrap up show.
Yeah. He reached out to me too and said the same thing, how much he really was enjoying our discussion. So yes, we have at least one fan, Charles.
Hey, one fan. No, I think we have a few more.
Yeah, I think
hopefully
so
we have a few more.
Yes.
So everybody, if you want to write in, we'll tell you how to do that here in a minute. But for Nick, wrote in, he says, hey, Jesse and Charles, just finished the latest episode, Origins. And so he's writing about last week's episode, and I'm pretty much in agreement with your thoughts. I continue to find Tegan Croft's portrayal of Raven to be amazing and very believable, seeing that it's certainly must not be easy to cover such a wide range of emotions at such a young age. Bearing in mind that child/teenage actors can be hit or miss and less developed compared to a fully fledged adult actor. Big props also to Anna Diop as Starfire, though I agree she could have changed clothes by now and was rather upset about the racist comments against her. I would totally agree with you there on both fronts. It reminded me of the hate that Gal Gadot got as Wonder Woman, stating that she was not, quote, white, unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was ridiculous too. But I think I chalk that up more to anti-Semitism than anything else.
Yes.
But like you guys, I have no time for racist ignorance. Exactly. Well said.
Absolutely.
Totally support that. Thanks for reading my previous email. And yes, indeed, the time zones are not a factor for me. As one, working in country music, I constantly interviewing and working with artists across the pond. So my brain is usually between Eastern Standard Time and Central Standard Time, LOL. And two, I am a night owl, and being able to discuss a show I am really enjoying and one of my favorite media, and superhero TV shows and movies, comics. So I'm up for anything. Look forward to talking soon. Also been listening into the Fandom Zone. All right. Thank you.
Yay.
Nick. Yay, the Fandom Zone podcast. All right. And wow, the things I would have to say about those CW shows and Netflix. All good so far, mind you. ... All the best, DJ Nick.
Thank you, DJ. I appreciate it, Mr. Nick.
Yeah, it's nice. NIK, so it's all hip and cool.
Yes.
So, yeah, thanks, Nick. I really appreciate that. And we're definitely, I think the wrap-up show might be a fun one to have him on.
Yeah, I think so, too.
So maybe here toward the end, sometime around the new year.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. So thanks again for Nick and writing in to Tell It to Titan Talk. And if you'd like to be like DJ Nick, and who doesn't want to be like DJ Nick, you can reach us at titantalkcast@gmail.com. That's titantalkcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the Titans or the Doom Patrol in this past episode. Love to hear your thoughts and what your hopes are for the show, what you're afraid of, what you're not liking, what you're liking, what you think of Titan Talk. Let us know what you think of how we're doing and what you'd like to see us do here on the show.
Absolutely.
And tell Jesse how awesome he is, because he's always so awesome.
And tell Charles how we appreciate him driving the bus and keeping us on topic.
I'm trying. Yes. All right. So I want to keep us moving along, obviously. So next time on Titan Talk, we're going to talk about Together. That's the 5th episode. So Titans Together at last.
All right. Yes.
So fingers crossed, everybody. We're starting to get our team, and hopefully that's an important episode. I should also mention that if you want to reach us at Titan Talk, you can also reach us at Titan Talk Cast on the Twitter machine, or you can reach us at on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you there. Yes. And also, please go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and rate and review us, because, hey, that helps people find us. And we did get a review, a really quick one, But we would like more because, hey, we kind of need 5 at least to help people find us. And so if you have the time and you're so inclined, we definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely. We
go ahead.
It truly does. We do appreciate. There is we do appreciate the latest review. I was trying to quickly pull it up. I did want to mention that on Friday on the DC blog, there is a article. Jeff Johns reveals why Titans Robin isn't Nightwing ... yet.
Right.
So they address some of the concerns we're having.
Okay.
So I think that's worth.
Maybe why don't you post that on our Titan Talk Facebook page?
I will.
So that everybody can find that and read that.
Yeah, and our latest on October 25th, Ray the Nerd said the hosts have a good knowledge of the characters and a good banter between them. So, hey, we got that going for us, Charles.
Thanks, Ray.
Yes, absolutely.
We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Isn't there a blog where we can go that isn't just DC's blog, but isn't there someone on this podcast that keeps us on track of all the latest geeky things?
It's very possible. So, now that you said that, you can reach me at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine or at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. And also my blog, Geeky Things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about all the shows in the DC Universe, including Titans or Doom Patrol or the upcoming Swamp Thing and Stargirl series, Harley Quinn animated series. And then, of course, talk about my other podcasts that I do for Southgate Media Group, including the Phantom Zone podcast that DJ Nick was kind enough to check out and hopefully enjoyed, or where Karen Lindsay and I talk about comic book TV shows that are currently airing and review them, or Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast that I do with you, Jesse, where we and Karen Lindsay again talk about the current series of Doctor Who, and obviously in the off season we talk about classic Who or modern Who episodes or anything relating, including Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures, you name it.
Yes.
And also Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast they do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse, where I talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, you name it, and everything regarding there. So that's all I have. But Jesse, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Oh, I can be found at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. You can hear me talk about Bruce Springsteen and music on Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast. You can, as we talked about, Charles and I talk about Doctor Who, and I am currently working on Inch from Insanity with fellow podcaster Zach. We are kind of starting a general topic podcast, and then of course my buddies Bob Jr. and Scott and I every other week talk about How Many, the only podcast that counts, which is a little pun because we count, we give a topic and we discuss how many of that topic is significant. It's basically an excuse for 3 of my friends and I to get together and banter.
Nice.
Yes.
Because I hope we count here at Titan Talk, hopefully.
We always count. As my Charles and them, Charles, what Bob and Junior and Scott always laugh at me because I always say, they always go, your real podcast versus this one.
Right,
yeah, so we
everybody check those out.
Yeah, we are getting along on the journey. Remind me how many episodes we have this season?
All right. Well, as far as they have 11 posted on DC Universe, but as far as I know, we're supposed to have 12 unless episode 11 is going to be double length.
Okay.
As a 2-part or a 2-hour season finale.
Okay.
I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. So as far as I know, we're going to have 12. Okay. And we are now just hit the 1/3 mark. So we're already 1/3 through season 1, if you can believe it.
Yes.
And so come on back next week for episode 12 here on Titan Talk, where we're going to talk about Together. So happy together.
Yes.
And so, come on back. Jesse, anything else before we sign off?
No, just another good episode, and always a lot of fun to talk to you. Listeners, thank you. Please go to Facebook, like our page, and to iTunes, rate and review us. Our three little reviews look alone. They're sad.
Yeah, they need some friends to share with, I guess. All right. So thanks again, everybody, for listening to us here in Titan Talk, and we will see you next time right here for episode 12 together on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.